The sound came from the West Wing Library at exactly 3:47 a.m., and it made Chicago's most feared crime lord reach for the gun he kept under his pillow. Min-Jae Kang hadn't survived 15 years at the top of the Korean Mafia by ignoring instincts. Someone was in his house. Someone had breached security that cost him $50,000 a month to maintain. Someone was about to die. He moved through the darkened hallway of his Gold Coast mansion with lethal silence, barefoot on marble floors that cost more than most people earned in a year. The gun felt familiar in his hand. Comfortable. He'd killed his first man at 19. By 35 he'd lost count. The library door stood half open, light spilling into the corridor. Min-Jae's jaw clenched. If this was another assassination attempt, they'd chosen poorly. He was in the mood for violence tonight. Business had been frustrating. Rivals were getting bold. He needed an outlet. He kicked the door open, gun raised, finger on the trigger. And froze. His 7-year-old son Jae-hoon sat cross-legged on the Persian rug in his dinosaur pajamas. Beside him, equally startled but somehow not afraid, sat Amara Thompson. His maid. The woman he'd hired 6 weeks ago because his housekeeper said they desperately needed help and Amara's references were impeccable. She wore simple cotton pajamas, her long braids pulled back, her dark skin glowing in the lamplight. No makeup. No pretense. And she was reading to his son from a Korean children's book, her pronunciation absolutely flawless. "Nonin Mafia," she said softly to Jae-hoon, not yet aware of Min-Jae's presence. "You're a brave boy. Say it with me." Jae-hoon's small voice repeated the phrase, stumbling slightly over the words. Amara smiled, patient and warm, and corrected his pronunciation with the gentleness of someone who genuinely cared. Min-Jae lowered the gun slowly. His heart, which had been racing with adrenaline, now pounded for an entirely different reason. His maid spoke Korean. Perfect, native-level Korean. And she was teaching his son in the middle of the night, unpaid and unasked, simply because she'd apparently heard Jae-hoon crying and come to help. Again, Amara encouraged. "너는 용감한." What the hell is going on here? Min-Jae's voice cut through the moment like a blade. Amara's head snapped up, her eyes widening when she saw him. Saw the gun. But instead of screaming or cowering like most people did when faced with his rage, she simply stood, placing herself between him and Jae-hoon. Protecting his son. From him. Something in Min-Jae's chest twisted painfully. "Mr. Kang," she said, her voice steady despite the fear he could see in her eyes. "I'm sorry. Jae-hoon had a nightmare. I heard him crying and..." "You speak Korean." It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. "Yes." "How?" Amara's chin lifted slightly. A hint of defiance beneath the respect. "I lived in Seoul for 3 years. Studied at Yonsei University. I'm fluent." Min-Jae's mind raced. He'd reviewed her file when she was hired. College dropout. Various service jobs. Nothing about Korea. Nothing about language skills that could be worth their weight in gold in his particular line of work. "Your application didn't mention that. You didn't ask about language skills. You asked about cleaning experience." Her eyes met his directly. "I needed a job. I'm qualified to clean. The Korean is just extra." "Appa." Jae-hoon's small voice broke the tension. His son rarely called him father. Min-Jae worked too much, was gone too often, was too dangerous to be close to. "Please don't be mad at Amarshi. I asked her to help me." Min-Jae finally lowered the gun completely, setting it on the nearby desk. He watched his son lean against Amara's leg, seeking comfort from a woman he'd known 6 weeks instead of the father who'd been there his whole life. It hurt. But it also sparked something else. Curiosity. And a dangerous, consuming need to know everything about the woman who'd somehow infiltrated his home and his son's heart without him noticing. "Go back to bed, Jae-hoon," Min-Jae said quietly. "We'll talk in the morning." "But..." "Yao." Jae-hoon looked up at Amara and she nodded gently. "It's okay, sweetheart. Go on. We'll practice more tomorrow if your appa says it's okay." After his son reluctantly left, Min-Jae turned the full force of his attention on Amara. She didn't flinch. Didn't look away. Most people couldn't hold his gaze for more than a few seconds. She stood there waiting, patient. "Sit," he commanded, gesturing to the leather armchair. "I'd rather stand." That wasn't a request. Something flickered in her eyes. Anger maybe. But she sat, her posture straight, her hands folded in her lap. Min-Jae took the chair opposite, studying her in the lamplight. She was beautiful. He'd noticed that the day she was hired, then immediately forced himself to stop noticing. Beautiful women were everywhere in his world. They meant nothing. But this woman, with her quiet strength and her secret Korean fluency, was suddenly the most interesting thing in his carefully controlled universe. "Tell me everything," he said. "And don't lie." "I'll know." Mar took a breath. What do you want to know? Why you're really here? I told you. I needed a job. You studied at Yonsei University. That's not cheap. That's not the background of someone who ends up cleaning houses for $700 a week. Life doesn't always go according to plan, Mr. Kang. Her voice carried an edge now. I had a scholarship. Full ride. I was going to be a translator, work for the UN maybe. But my mother got sick in my 3rd year. Stage 4 breast cancer. I had to come home to Chicago to take care of her. Min-Jae watched her face. Saw the grief there barely contained. She died 6 months ago, Amara continued quietly. Left me with $100,000 in medical debt. No degree because I never finished. No job because I'd been caregiving full-time for a year. So yes, I'm cleaning houses. Because it pays cash, it's flexible, and I'm trying to survive. Truth. He could hear it in every word. But that didn't explain everything. Why didn't you mention the Korean? Do you know how valuable that skill is? To who? She met his eyes. I know who you are, Mr. Kang. Everyone in Chicago knows the Kang family name. I know the rumors about what you do. And I know that women who get too close to men like you end up dead or disappeared. I just wanted to clean your house, earn my money, and go home. That's it. Yet here you are teaching my son Korean in the middle of the night. He was crying. Her voice softened. He said the kids at school make fun of him because his Korean is terrible. He said you're always too busy to teach him. He said he wants to make you proud but doesn't know how. She leaned forward slightly. He's a little boy who needs attention, Mr. Kang. Not another toy or video game. Attention. The words hit like bullets. Min-Jae's hands clenched on the armrests. You have no right. I have every right. Fire flashed in her eyes now. That child is hurting. And whether you want to admit it or not, he's desperate for his father to see him. Really see him. Not just as an obligation or a legacy, but as a little boy who needs love. Min-Jae stood abruptly. She'd crossed a line. She'd spoken to him with disrespect no one dared. He should fire her. Should have her escorted out of his house immediately. But instead he found himself asking, what did you tell him? Tonight when he was crying? Amara stood too, meeting him despite the height difference. I told him he was brave. That learning a language is hard but he's doing great. That his father loves him even when he's busy. That he should be proud of who he is, Korean and American both. In Korean? Yes. Because words mean more in your heart language. You know that. He did know that. In business he spoke English. In violence he spoke English. But in the moments when he was alone and broken he spoke Korean. It was the language of his mother's lullabies, his grandmother's stories, his father's rare moments of pride before he died. You're not just a maid, Min-Jae said quietly. I'm whatever I need to be to survive. What if I offered you more? Amara's eyes narrowed. More what? More money. A different position. Jaehoon needs a tutor. Someone who can teach him Korean, help him connect with his heritage. Someone who actually gives a damn about him as a person. You mean a nanny? I mean whatever you want to call it. Min-Jae moved closer, drawn by something he couldn't name. Name your price. You can't buy everything, Mr. Kang. Yes, I can. That's how the world works. Amara shook her head slowly. I'm not interested in getting more involved with your family. With you. It's too dangerous. You're already involved. You've been teaching my son for weeks, haven't you? Those weren't the first Korean lessons. I can tell. She didn't deny it. He asked for help. I couldn't say no. Then don't say no now. Min-Jae closed the distance between them. Up close he could smell her shampoo, something clean and simple. No expensive perfume like the women he usually dealt with. Just soap and warmth. $2,500 a week. More if you need it. Teach him Korean. Spend time with him. Give him what I can't. Why can't you? The question was bold. Why can't you be the one to teach him? Because he was broken. Because he was violent. Because everything he touched turned dark and dangerous. And Jaehoon deserved better than a father covered in blood. That's not your concern, Min-Jae said coldly. If I'm going to help your son, it is my concern. They stared at each other, tension crackling in the space between them. Min-Jae wasn't used to being challenged. Wasn't used to women who didn't cower or flirt or manipulate. Amara just stood there, solid and real and utterly unimpressed by his power. It was intoxicating. Think about it, he said finally. But if you keep teaching him in secret, I'll consider that acceptance of my offer. That's not fair. I'm not a fair man, Miss Thompson. He picked up his gun, sliding it into the waistband of his sleep pants. I'm a monster who somehow managed to produce a son who deserves the world. You're offering him a piece of that world. So take the money or don't. But keep being there for him. He started toward the door, then paused. Back. And Amara? Thank you. For tonight. For seeing him when I've been blind. Her expression softened slightly. He's a good kid, Mr. Kang. You should spend more time with him. Before he's grown and you've missed it all. Min-Jae left without answering because she was right and they both knew it. Back in his bedroom, he stood at the window overlooking Lake Michigan, the city lights glittering in the distance. His mind wouldn't stop replaying the scene. Amara's voice speaking perfect Korean. The way Jaehoon looked at her with trust and affection. The way she'd stepped between them without hesitation, protecting his son from him. He pulled out his phone and texted his head of security. Run a complete background check on Amara Thompson. Everything. Seoul, Chicago, family, debts, connections. I want to know who she is. The response came immediately. Already done 6 weeks ago when she was hired. Want me to dig deeper? Yes. And put a protective detail on her. Discreet. He doesn't know. Why? Min-Jae stared at the message. Why indeed? Why did the thought of something happening to his maid make his chest tight? Why did her words about Jaehoon cut so deep? Why did he suddenly want to know everything about a woman he'd barely noticed until tonight? Just do it. He set the phone down and returned to the window. Somewhere in this massive house, Amara was probably back in her small room in the staff wing, maybe unable to sleep, wondering if she'd just made a terrible mistake by revealing herself. Min-Jae smiled slightly. She had no idea what she'd started. Because the most dangerous man in Chicago had just become obsessed with his maid. And when Min-Jae Kang wanted something, he didn't stop until it was his. Amara didn't sleep that night. She lay in her small room in the staff wing, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of that library confrontation. The look in Min-Jae Kang's eyes when he discovered her secret. The gun in his hand. The way his entire demeanor had shifted from lethal to curious in the span of seconds. She should quit. Pack her bags and disappear before she got any deeper into whatever this was becoming. Men like Min-Jae Kang were dangerous. Not just because of the rumors about organized crime and violence, but because of the way he'd looked at her in those final moments. Like he was seeing her for the first time. Like she mattered. That was the most dangerous thing of all. But then she thought about Jaehoon's tear-stained face earlier that evening. The way he'd whispered in broken Korean that he was stupid, that he'd never be good enough, that his father probably wished he had a different son. A better son. Amara had held him and told him lies that felt like truth. That he was brilliant. That his father loved him. That learning 2 languages was hard but he was doing amazing. She couldn't abandon him now. Not when he'd finally started to open up. Not when he looked at her like she was safe. At 6:47 a.m. her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Chin will show you to the new tutoring room at 8 a.m. Jaehoon's Korean lessons will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Weekends negotiable based on his schedule. $2,500 per week deposited directly to your account. Medical insurance included. Contract on the desk for your signature. Amara stared at the message. He hadn't given her a choice. Hadn't asked if she'd thought about it. Just made the decision and expected her to fall in line. He should be angry. Instead she found herself smiling slightly. He was used to control, used to people obeying without question. He had no idea how stubborn she could be. She typed back, I haven't agreed to anything. The response was immediate. You will. Confident. Realistic. You care about my son. That means you'll stay. He was right and they both knew it. Amara sighed, setting her phone down. She just made a deal with the devil. The question was whether she'd survive it. At exactly 8 a.m. Mrs. Chin, the head housekeeper, knocked on Amara's door. The older Korean woman had been polite but distant since Amara was hired, clearly not thrilled about another person on staff. Now her expression was carefully neutral. Miss Thompson, please follow me. They walked through corridors Amara had only cleaned, never lingered in. The mansion was obscenely beautiful. All marble and dark wood and artwork that probably cost more than she'd earn in 10 lifetimes. Finally, Mrs. Chin opened a door on the 2nd floor, revealing a room that made Amara's breath catch. It had been transformed overnight. Gone were whatever furnishings had been there before. Now it held a large comfortable desk, bookshelves lined with Korean children's books and learning materials, a cozy reading corner with floor cushions, and educational posters covering Korean alphabet, common phrases and cultural images. Mr. Kang had this prepared last night, Mrs. Chin said quietly. He made calls at 4 a.m. Had people working through the night. Amara walked into the room slowly, touching the books, the perfectly organized supplies. This wasn't just thrown together. Someone had carefully selected materials appropriate for a 7-year-old's learning level. Someone had thought about what would make Jaehoon comfortable and engaged. He did this himself? Amara asked. He told them exactly what he wanted. Every detail. Mrs. Chen's expression softened slightly. In 15 years of working for the Kang family, I've never seen him care about anything like this. Usually he just throws money at problems and expects others to handle it. Then why? Because it's for Jaehoon. And because of you, I think. The older woman studied Amara with sharp eyes. Be careful, Miss Thompson. Mr. Kang is not a man who does things halfway. Whatever he's started, it won't be small. After Mrs. Chin left, Amara sank into the desk chair, overwhelmed. The contract lay waiting exactly as Min-Jae had said. She read through it carefully, looking for traps for fine print that would bind her to something terrible. But it was straightforward. Generous even. 2,500 per week for 6 hours of tutoring. Full health insurance with dental and vision. 2 weeks paid vacation. Termination clause that allowed either party to end the arrangement with 2 weeks' notice. At the bottom, a handwritten note in sharp, precise English. You're not a prisoner, Amara. If you want to leave, you can leave. But I hope you'll stay. The use of her first name felt intimate. Dangerous. Amara picked up the pen, hesitated, then signed her name. She was doing this for Jaehoon, she told herself. Only for Jaehoon. The lie tasted bitter even as she thought it. That afternoon, Jaehoon appeared at exactly 4 p.m., escorted by Mrs. Chen. He looked nervous, his small hands twisting together, his eyes darting around the transformed room. Amara, she. His voice was small. Amara smiled, crouching to his level. Hi, sweetheart. What do you think of our new classroom? Appa did this? Wonder filled his face as he looked around. For me. For us. For your lessons. She took his hand gently. Come on, let me show you all the cool stuff we have. They spent the first 30 minutes just exploring. Amara let Jaehoon touch everything, choose his favorite books, pick out which floor cushion he wanted. She was building safety, letting him know the space was his too, not just another place where adults made all the decisions. Then they settled at the low table in the reading corner, and Amara pulled out a children's book about a tiger and a rabbit. Okay, let's start with something fun. I'm going to read this in Korean and you tell me if you understand. No pressure, no tests. Just listening. She began to read, her voice soft and expressive, bringing the characters to life. Jaehoon listened intently, occasionally smiling at funny parts. When she finished, she asked him simple questions in Korean, letting him answer in English if he needed to. He understood more than he thought he did. The problem wasn't intelligence. It was confidence. Someone somewhere had made him believe he was bad at this. Jaehoon, Amara said gently in Korean using the affectionate suffix. Who told you that you were stupid? His face crumpled slightly. Kids at school. And grandmother. Amara's blood ran cold. Your grandmother said that? He nodded miserably. She speaks only Korean when she visits. Gets mad when I don't understand. She says I'm a disgrace. That Appa should be ashamed of such a stupid son who can't even speak properly. Amara wanted to find this grandmother and have some very sharp words. But instead she took Jaehoon's small hands in hers. Listen to me carefully, she said in Korean, speaking slowly and clearly. You are not stupid. You are brilliant. Learning a language is one of the hardest things a brain can do, and you're doing it while also being 7 years old, going to school and dealing with a lot of big feelings. That takes courage. But I mess up all the time. Everyone messes up. I still mess up, and I studied Korean for 3 years in college. Your Appa probably messes up sometimes too. Jaehoon's eyes widened. Appa doesn't mess up anything. He's perfect. The weight of that belief, the pressure of having a father on a pedestal, made Amara's heart ache. He's human, sweetheart. Humans mess up. It's how we learn. They continued the lesson and Amara watched Jaehoon slowly relax. By the time 6 p.m. arrived, he was laughing, trying out new phrases, not afraid to make mistakes. Progress. Mrs. Chin came to collect him and Jaehoon hugged Amara tightly before leaving. Same time Wednesday? He asked hopefully. Same time Wednesday, Amara confirmed. After he left, she started organizing materials for the next lesson. She didn't hear Min-Jae enter until he spoke. He smiled more in the last 2 hours than I've seen in months. Amara spun around. Min-Jae stood in the doorway, still wearing a sharp black suit from whatever business he'd been handling. But his tie was loosened, his expression unguarded in a way she hadn't seen before. You were watching? She asked. Security cameras. He gestured vaguely. I have them throughout the house. But I wasn't spying. I was working in my office. I just happened to check in. And? Min-Jae entered the room fully, his presence immediately making the space feel smaller. And I saw my son be a child. Relaxed. Happy. Engaged. His jaw worked. I can't remember the last time I saw that. He's a good kid. Smart, sensitive. He just needs patience and encouragement. He needs what you're giving him. Min-Jae stopped a few feet away, close enough that Amara caught the scent of his cologne. Something expensive and cedar-tinged. I heard what he said about my mother. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Don't apologize. His voice turned hard. She's cruel. Always has been. I've limited her access to Jihun because of it, but clearly not enough. He met Amara's eyes. Thank you for defending him. For making him believe in himself. It's easy to believe in him. He's wonderful. Something flickered across Min-Jae's face. You really think so? You're not just saying that because I'm paying you. Money doesn't make me lie, Mr. Kang. Jihun is genuinely special. He's empathetic, curious, creative. Those are gifts. Min-Jae was quiet for a long moment. Then quietly, his mother didn't think so. She left when he was 3. Said he was too needy, too emotional. Said I'd ruined him by being too soft. The confession hung in the air. Amara understood suddenly why Jihun was so desperate for approval, why he tried so hard to be perfect. He'd been abandoned for being himself. She was wrong, Amara said firmly. His sensitivity isn't weakness. It's strength. He'll grow up to be someone who cares about people, who feels things deeply. The world needs more of that, not less. Min-Jae's eyes held hers, and the intensity there made her breath catch. You see things clearly. People. What they need. I just pay attention. Most people don't. He moved closer. You signed the contract. I did. For Jihun. Just for Jihun? The question held weight. Amara's pulse quickened. They were standing too close now. She could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, the faint scar at his temple, the way his jaw clenched like he was fighting something. Why else would I sign? She managed. I don't know yet. His voice dropped lower. But I'm going to find out. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression immediately shuddered. Business. Violence. Whatever darkness he dealt with daily. I have to go, he said abruptly. There's a situation that needs handling. Be careful, Amara said, then immediately regretted it. She had no right to care whether he was careful. But Min-Jae's eyes softened slightly. Why, Miss Thompson? Would you miss me? I'd miss your son having a father. Is that all? The air between them crackled with something dangerous. Amara forced herself to step back. That's all that matters. Min-Jae studied her for another moment, then nodded once. Wednesday at 4 p.m. I'll make sure I'm available to check in on the lesson. You don't have to. I want to. He was already at the door. I want to see him learn. See him be happy. And I want to watch you teach. You're good at this, Amara. Really good. He left before she could process the compliment, the way her name sounded in his voice, the implication that he'd be watching her again. Amara sank into the desk chair, her hands shaking slightly. This was more complicated than she'd anticipated. Because Min-Jae Kang wasn't just a dangerous crime lord. He was a father who loved his son. A man who listened when she spoke. Someone who saw her as more than just staff. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. Over the next 2 weeks, a pattern emerged. Amara would arrive for Jihun's lessons, and Min-Jae would find reasons to check in. Sometimes he'd observe from the doorway. Other times he'd sit quietly in the corner, watching his son practice Korean phrases and laugh at Amara's silly mnemonics for remembering vocabulary. Jihun blossomed under the attention. Not just from Amara's teaching but from having his father present. Min-Jae didn't say much during lessons, but his eyes tracked every moment. The pride on his face when Jihun got something right was unmistakable. Because somewhere between cleaning his house and teaching his son, she'd become part of Min-Jae Kang's life. And despite every warning bell ringing in her head, she wanted to stay. Even if it killed her. Living in Min-Jae Kang's home was nothing like working in it. As a maid, Amara had been invisible. She'd cleaned rooms and left before anyone noticed. She kept her head down, did her job, and disappeared into the background of wealthy people's lives. Now she was seen. Constantly. By everyone. The household staff whispered whenever she passed. Some looks were curious. Others resentful. A few were sympathetic, like they knew she was in over her head and felt sorry for what was coming. Jihun was thrilled. He knocked on her door every morning before school, wanting to practice Korean phrases over breakfast. He'd drag her to the library after his lessons to show her his drawings, his favorite books, his collection of rocks from the garden that he'd named and given personalities. This one is brave stone, he'd explain solemnly in Korean, holding up a smooth gray pebble. He protects all the other stones when scary things happen. Amara would listen seriously, praising his vocabulary, his pronunciation, the sweet imagination that his grandmother had tried to beat out of him. But it was Min-Jae's presence that changed everything. He was everywhere. Not hovering exactly but aware. She'd feel his eyes on her during meals when Jihun insisted she eat with them instead of with the staff. She'd catch him watching from doorways when she and Jihun played Korean word games. She'd hear his footsteps pause outside her suite at night, like he was checking she was safe before he could sleep. The attraction between them simmered constantly, unspoken but undeniable. 3 days after she moved in, everything shifted. Amara woke at 2:17 a.m. to shouting. Male voices, harsh and angry, speaking rapid Korean. She sat up, heart hammering, reaching for her phone. Before she could call anyone, her door burst open. Min-Jae stood there, dressed in all black, blood on his knuckles, his eyes wild with something between rage and fear. Get up. No. Bring nothing. What's happening? Jaehoon's room. Move. He grabbed her arm, pulling her into the hallway. They ran. Amara's mind raced with terrible possibilities. The shouting was louder now, coming from the first floor. Gunshots cracked through the air. She flinched, but Min-Jae's grip kept her moving forward. Jaehoon's door was open. Inside, 2 massive guards flanked the window while Mrs. Chin held a terrified Jaehoon. The boy was crying, his small body shaking. Amara. He reached for her the moment he saw her. She took him from Mrs. Chin, holding him tight. I've got you, sweetheart. You're safe. They're here for me, Jaehoon sobbed against her shoulder. The bad men Appa warned me about. They're here. No one is taking you. Min-Jae's voice was absolute. He moved to the window, speaking into a phone in clipped Korean. Orders. Commands. The kind of tone that expected instant obedience. More gunshots. Closer now. Amara held Jaehoon tighter, her own fear threatening to overwhelm her. This was real. The danger she'd known existed intellectually was suddenly concrete, deadly, right outside the door. Min-Jae turned back to them, his expression carved from stone. The panic room. Now. He led them through a hidden door in Jaehoon's closet. Behind it, a narrow staircase descended into darkness. They moved quickly, Min-Jae in front, one guard behind. The walls were reinforced steel. No windows. No light except the emergency strips along the floor. At the bottom, another door. Min-Jae pressed his palm to a scanner, and it opened into a space that looked like a luxury bunker. Comfortable furniture, supplies, monitors showing security footage of the house and grounds. You'll be safe here, Min-Jae said, checking the screens. Steel-reinforced walls, independent air supply, enough food and water for 2 weeks. The door only opens with my palm print or a code only I know. You're leaving. Amara's voice came out sharper than intended. His eyes met hers. I have to end this. They came into my home. Threatened my son. Threatened you. That requires a response. You mean killing them? I mean protecting what's mine. He moved closer, his hand cupping her face. The gesture was possessive, intimate, done in front of Mrs. Chin and the guards like he didn't care who saw. Stay here. Keep Jaehoon safe. I'll be back as soon as it's handled. Min-Jae. Promise me. His thumb traced her cheekbone. Promise me you won't leave this room until I come back. I promise. He leaned in, his forehead touching hers briefly. A moment of vulnerability in the midst of violence. Then he pulled back, his mask sliding into place. Protect them with your lives, he said to the guards. If anything happens to either of them, you die next. He left. The door sealed behind him with a heavy thunk that made Amara's chest tight. Jaehoon was still crying. She carried him to the couch, settling him in her lap, murmuring comfort in Korean. 괜찮아, 괜찮아. Appa will keep us safe. You're so brave, Jaehoon. So brave. Mrs. Chin brought them water, then settled in a chair, her face pale but composed. He'll win, she said quietly. He always does. How often does this happen? Amara asked. This? An attack on the house? Maybe twice a year. But conflict? Violence? Every week. Sometimes every day. The older woman's eyes were sad. This is what it means to be part of the Kang family. This is what you signed up for when you agreed to stay. I signed up to teach a little boy Korean. You signed up for much more than that and you know it. Amara couldn't argue. She held Jaehoon and watched the security monitors, her heart in her throat every time she saw movement. Men in black tactical gear swarmed the grounds. Some wore Kang family colors, red armbands. Others wore blue. Enemy forces. The fighting was brutal. Quick and efficient. Min-Jae moved through it like a shadow, his gun an extension of his body. He was terrifying. Beautiful in his violence. And Amara couldn't look away. An hour later it was over. The blue armbands were dead or retreating. Min-Jae stood in the main entrance hall, blood spattered but alive, barking orders into his phone. The door to the panic room opened. He filled the doorway and relief washed over his face when he saw them unharmed. It's safe now, he said. They're gone. Jaehoon scrambled off Amara's lap and ran to his father. Min-Jae caught him, holding him tight, his eyes closing briefly. I'm sorry you were scared, butter. I'm sorry. You protected us, Appa. Like brave stone protects the other rocks. A ghost of a smile crossed Min-Jae's face. Yes. Like brave stone. Mrs. Chin took Jehun, promising him hot chocolate and his favorite breakfast. The boy went reluctantly, looking back at both his father and Amara like he was afraid they'd disappear. When they were alone, Min-Jae turned to Amara. Are you hurt? No. Terrified but not hurt. I need to clean up. Will you wait for me? In my room? He stopped jaw working. I need to see you. After this. I need to know you're really safe. Okay. He led her through the house. Staff were already cleaning, making the violence disappear like it had never happened. Efficient. Practiced. This was routine for them. Min-Jae's bedroom was on the 4th floor, a space she'd never entered. It was masculine and minimal. Dark colors, expensive furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. One wall held photographs. Jehun at various ages. An older couple who must be his parents. A young woman holding baby Jehun, his ex-wife probably. Make yourself comfortable, Min-Jae said. I'll be quick. He disappeared into the bathroom. Amara heard water running. She sat on the edge of his bed, her body finally registering the fear she'd pushed down. Her hands started shaking. Then her whole body. When Min-Jae emerged 20 minutes later, showered and changed into clean clothes, he found her crying. Not loud sobs, just silent tears streaming down her face. Amara. He was across the room in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms. You're safe. I've got you. I know, but the words caught. That was real. Those guns were real. People died tonight because of a war I don't understand, and Jehun was crying, and I thought. I know what you thought. His hand cradled the back of her head. But I would die before I let anything happen to either of you. Do you understand me? I would burn this entire city down to keep you safe. She pulled back to look at him. Why? I'm just your son's tutor. You stopped being just anything the moment I found you teaching him Korean in the middle of the night. His hands framed her face. You're brilliant and kind, and you see good in people who don't deserve it. You make my son laugh. You make me want to be better than what I am. And I've been fighting this for weeks, but I can't anymore. Fighting what? This. He kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and hungry and full of relief that they were both alive. Amara gasped against his mouth, and Min-Jae took advantage, deepening the kiss. His hands slid into her hair, angling her head for better access. She should stop this. Should remember all the reasons this was impossible, dangerous, stupid. But her body had other ideas. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. She kissed him back with equal desperation, tasting mint and want and something darker she couldn't name. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Min-Jae pressed his forehead to hers. Stay with me tonight, he whispered. Not for sex. Just stay. I need to know you're here. Safe. Real. Min-Jae. Please. The word was rough. I've killed people tonight. I'll kill more tomorrow if they threaten what's mine. But right now, I just need to hold you and remember I'm still human. How could she say no to that? To the vulnerability beneath the violence? To the man who was a monster to the world but gentle with his son? Okay, she whispered. I'll stay. They lay down on his bed, fully clothed. Min-Jae pulled her against his chest, his arms wrapped around her like she was precious. Like she was something worth protecting with his life. Thank you, he murmured into her hair. For being brave tonight. For keeping Jehun calm. For not running when you saw what I really am. What are you? Amara asked quietly. A killer. A criminal. A man who's made terrible choices. You're also a father who loves his son. A person who's trying to be better. Someone who protects the people he cares about. She tilted her head back to look at him. You contain multitudes, Min-Jae Kang. The darkness and the light. Which one do you see when you look at me? Both. Always both. He kissed her again, softer this time. I don't deserve you. Probably not. She smiled slightly. But I'm here anyway. They fell asleep like that, tangled together, and for the first time in years Min-Jae slept without nightmares. When Amara woke, early morning light filtered through the windows. Min-Jae was already awake, propped on one elbow, watching her with an intensity that made her breath catch. Morning, she said sleepily. Morning. His hand traced lazy patterns on her arm. How are you feeling? Like my life got very complicated very fast. Regrets. She thought about it honestly. No. Terrified but no regrets. Good. He leaned down, kissing her forehead. Because I have something to tell you and you're not going to like it. Amara's stomach sank. What? The men who attacked last night? They were sent by the Shin family. Rival organization, very powerful. Their leader, Shin Taeyong, has been trying to take my territory for 2 years. Last night was his boldest move yet. Hey, so you fought them off. It's over, right? It's escalated. Min-Jae's expression was grim. He knows about you now. About what you mean to me. Which means he'll come for you specifically. To hurt me through you. I'll leave. I'll go somewhere else. No. The word was absolute. That won't work. He has resources, connections. He'll find you. The only way to keep you safe is to keep you close. Under my protection. Always. So what are you saying? Min-Jae sat up, running a hand through his hair. I'm saying that I'm claiming you. Publicly. As mine. Under my protection. It's a formal declaration in my world. It means anyone who touches you answers to me personally. It's the nuclear option, but it's the only thing that will keep you truly safe. Amara's heart pounded. Claiming me? Like I'm property. Like you're precious. His eyes burned. Like you're mine to protect. It doesn't mean ownership, Amara. It means I'm putting everything I have, all my power, all my resources, all my reputation, between you and anyone who wants to hurt you. And if I don't want to be claimed, then I'll do it anyway because your pride isn't worth your life. He grabbed her hands. I know it's archaic. I know it's possessive and probably crosses a dozen lines. But in my world, this is how we protect what matters. And you matter, Amara. More than I want to admit. More than is smart or safe. He stared at him, processing. What does claiming someone actually involve? A public announcement. Usually at a family gathering or business meeting. I introduce you as under my protection. Everyone in the organization knows it means you're untouchable. Some will assume we're together romantically. Most won't care about the details. They'll just know that hurting you means war with me. And that works. People just respect it. In my world, yes. Because everyone knows I don't make empty threats. I claimed my son years ago, obviously. But claiming an adult, especially a woman I'm not married to, that's significant. It tells everyone you're family in all the ways that matter. Amara pulled her hands away, standing up, needing distance to think. This was insane. She'd gone from cleaning houses to being claimed by a mafia boss in less than 2 months. Her mother would have had a heart attack. Her friends would think she'd lost her mind. But Jehun's face flashed through her mind. His tears last night. The trust in his eyes when he looked at her. And Min-Jae, this complicated man who killed people but cried when his son learned new Korean words. If I agree to this, she said slowly, it doesn't mean we're together. It just means protection, right? Something flickered in Min-Jae's eyes. Disappointment maybe. But he nodded. If that's what you want. Though I think we both know that ship has sailed, Amara. We slept in the same bed last night. We've kissed. We care about each other. We can pretend it's just protection, but we'd both be lying. He was right. They would be lying. But the truth was terrifying. I need time to think, she said. You have until tonight. Min-Jae stood, moving toward her but not touching. I'm hosting a family dinner. All the major players in my organization will be there. Including my mother, unfortunately. It's the perfect venue to make the announcement if you agree. And if I don't agree? I'll assign you a security detail that follows you everywhere, and I'll spread word through back channels that you're under my protection anyway. But it won't be as effective. The formal claiming carries weight that rumors don't. Amara laughed without humor. You're really not giving me a choice, are you? I'm giving you the illusion of choice while doing everything in my power to keep you alive. He stepped closer. I'm a criminal, Amara. I'm manipulative and controlling and I use power to get what I want. But what I want right now is for you to survive. If that makes me the bad guy, I'll live with it. She looked up at him, at this man who was both monster and protector, and made her decision. Fine. I'll do it. I'll let you claim me at your dinner tonight. He poked him in the chest. But this doesn't mean I'm your girlfriend or your property or anything else. This is a business arrangement for my safety. Nothing more. The smile that crossed Min-Jae's face was predatory. Whatever you need to tell yourself, Amara. I mean it. I know you think you do. He caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. But we both know the truth. You're already mine. I'm already yours. This just makes it official. Before she could argue, he kissed her knuckles and left the room, leaving her standing there with her heart racing and her mind spinning with what she'd just agreed to. Tonight, she'd be formally claimed by a mafia boss in front of his entire organization. Tonight, her life would change forever. And the terrifying part was that some piece of her actually wanted it. Mrs. Chin helped Amara prepare for the dinner. The older woman had warmed considerably after the attack, seeing how Amara had protected Jehun without hesitation. You'll need to dress appropriately, Mrs. Chin said, leading Amara to a room she'd never entered. It was a closet. No, a boutique. Racks of women's clothing in various sizes, all designer, all expensive. What is this? Amara asked. Mr. Kang had these brought in for you. He wasn't sure of your size, so he got multiples. Mrs. Chen pulled out a dress. Deep emerald silk that would hug every curve. This one, I think. It's elegant but strong. You need to look like someone worthy of protection. Someone powerful. I'm a tutor. Tonight you're much more than that. Mrs. Chen's eyes were kind. Tonight you become part of the family. That means dressing the part. Amara let herself be styled. The dress fit perfectly, sophisticated without being overly sexy. Mrs. Chen did her makeup, subtle but polished. Her braids were arranged in an elegant updo that showcased her neck and the small diamond earrings Min-Jae had sent up with a note. Wear these. They belonged to my mother before she became bitter. She was beautiful and strong like you. When Amara finally looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked expensive, confident, like someone who belonged in Min-Jae's world. He'll lose his mind when he sees you, Mrs. Chen said with a small smile. That's not the goal. Isn't it? The older woman squeezed her shoulder. It's okay to want him, you know. He's not perfect, but he's a good man beneath the violence. And he looks at you like you hung the moon. Before Amara could respond, there was a knock. Min-Jae entered, then stopped dead in his tracks. He wore a sharp black suit, his hair perfectly styled, every inch the powerful crime lord. But the way his eyes widened when he saw her, the way his breath caught, that was all man, not monster. 아름다워. He pretty beautiful. Amara, you're. Is it appropriate? She smoothed the dress nervously. Mrs. Chen said. You're perfect. He crossed to her, his hands settling on her waist like they belonged there. Absolutely perfect. Everyone's going to know exactly why I'm claiming you. Because I'm in danger? Because I'm completely gone for you. He said it simply, like it was obvious. Like he wasn't dropping a bomb in the middle of her carefully constructed denial. Min-Jae. I know. Business arrangement. Protection only. His smile was knowing. But when you walk into that room on my arm, when I tell them all that you're mine, there won't be any doubt about what you mean to me. Fair warning. He offered his arm. Amara took it, her heart hammering. They descended the grand staircase together, and she could hear the murmur of voices from the dining room. Many voices. This wasn't a small family dinner. This was an audience. At the door, Min-Jae paused. Last chance to run. I don't run. No, you don't. His eyes held hers. That's one of the things I love about you. Then he opened the door and there was no going back. The dining room fell silent when they entered. 20 faces turned toward them. Men in expensive suits, some with visible tattoos creeping above their collars. A few women hard-eyed and calculating. All of them powerful in Min-Jae's organization. All of them dangerous. And at the head of the table, a woman who could only be Min-Jae's mother. She was elegant in the way that wealth and age combined to create. Silver hair perfectly styled, traditional hanbok in deep burgundy, jewelry that probably cost more than Amara's entire life savings. Her face was beautiful but cold, like a sculpture carved from ice. Her eyes tracked to Amara and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Everyone, Min-Jae said, his voice carrying absolute authority. Thank you for coming on short notice. Before we eat, I have an announcement. He led Amara to the front of the room, his hand warm and steady on her lower back. She forced herself to stand tall, to meet the eyes that assessed her with varying degrees of curiosity, suspicion, and hostility. This is Amara Thompson, Min-Jae continued. As of today, she is under my formal protection. She is to be treated as family. Anyone who threatens her, harms her, or even speaks to her with disrespect will answer directly to me. This is not a request. This is law. Murmurs rippled through the room. Some approving nods. Others exchanged glances that suggested this wasn't unexpected. But Min-Jae's mother, her expression was pure fury barely contained. You cannot be serious, she said in Korean, her voice sharp as glass. This woman is a servant. An outsider. You would claim her as family. I would and I have gi. Min-Jae's tone was respectful but immovable. Amara is Jaehoon's tutor. She's teaching him Korean, giving him confidence. She's been good for him. Good for us. She deserves protection. She deserves to remember her place. His mother stood, switching to English, her accent thick but precise. Mr. Kang, you embarrass yourself with this display. This person is not suitable for our family's attention. That's not your decision to make. Min-Jae's voice turned cold. I am the head of this family. My word is final. Your father would be ashamed. My father married you despite his family's objections, if I remember correctly. Min-Jae's smile was sharp. Something about you being from the wrong province, the wrong class? Strange how memory works. His mother's face flushed with rage, but she sat down, clearly understanding she'd been outmaneuvered. An older man stood from the middle of the table. "Kangnim, if I may speak?" Min-Jae nodded. "Councilman Park. The Shin family's attack last night was bold. Claiming this woman publicly will make her a target. Are you prepared for what that means? For what resources it will require to keep her safe?" "I am." Min-Jae's hand moved to Amara's waist, the gesture possessive but protective. "I'm assigning a permanent security detail. 3 guards rotating shifts. Armored vehicle for transportation. Tracking on her phone and a panic button she carries at all times. Anyone who wants to get to her will have to go through me first. And if the Shin family sees this as provocation? As weakness to exploit? Let them try." Min-Jae's voice carried absolute certainty. "Shin Taeyong made this personal when he came into my home and terrified my son. Protecting Amara isn't weakness. It's a message. I don't back down. I don't negotiate. And I will burn his entire organization to ash if he comes near her again." Silence. Then slow, deliberate applause from a younger man near the back. Others joined. Not everyone. Min-Jae's mother sat with her lips pressed into a thin line, but enough to show support. "It's settled then," Min-Jae said. "Amara is family. Spread the word." He guided her to seats beside his own at the head of the table. As they sat, a small figure burst through the door. "Appa, you started without me." Ji-hoon ran to his father, then saw Amara and his face lit up. "Amari, you look like a princess." "Thank you, sweetheart." He switched to Korean. "You look very handsome too. Is that a new shirt?" Ji-hoon nodded enthusiastically, answering in Korean about how Mrs. Chin had helped him dress for the fancy dinner. The exchange was natural, fluid, and several people at the table watched with interest. Min-Jae's mother watched with something else entirely. Calculation mixed with anger. Dinner was served. Multiple courses, each more elaborate than the last. Amara barely tasted any of it. She was too aware of the scrutiny, the whispered conversations in Korean she could understand but pretended not to. "She's beautiful, I'll give him that. But black? An American? The elders won't accept it. He's claiming her for protection, not marriage. There's a difference. You saw how he looks at her. This isn't just protection. The Shin family will use her against him. Mark my words." Ji-hoon sat between Amara and Min-Jae, chattering happily, oblivious to the undercurrents. He practiced his Korean with Amara, showing off for the table, and she praised him warmly. "Your pronunciation is getting so good," she said. "Soon you'll speak better Korean than your appa." "That's not hard," Ji-hoon giggled. "Appa mixes up his formal endings all the time." Min-Jae feigned offense. "I do not." "You do. Amarshi corrects you when you don't notice." Ji-hoon looked at his grandmother. "Harmony, Amarshi is teaching me about Korean culture too. She knows all about chuseok and seol and even how to make kimchi." His grandmother's expression was frigid. "How nice. Perhaps she should teach you respect as well. Such as not speaking out of turn at formal dinners." Ji-hoon's face fell. Min-Jae's jaw clenched, but before he could speak, Amara gently touched his arm. "Mrs. Kang," Amara said in perfect formal Korean, "I apologize if Ji-hoon's enthusiasm seems disrespectful. He's excited to practice his language skills. I hope you can understand a young boy's eagerness to learn about his heritage." The formal Korean, the respectful tone, the graceful deflection. Several people at the table looked impressed. Min-Jae's mother looked like she'd bitten into something sour. "You speak Korean," she said as if it was an accusation. "Yes, ma'am. I studied at Yonsei University for 3 years. I fell in love with the language and culture." "How convenient." The words dripped with disdain. "Tell me, Miss Thompson, what exactly are your intentions toward my son?" The table went silent. This was a test. Everyone waited to see how Amara would respond. "My intentions are to teach Ji-hoon," Amara said calmly. "To help him connect with his Korean heritage and gain confidence. That's all." "That's all." Mrs. Kang's eyes were sharp. "My son has placed you under his protection. Made you effectively part of this family. And you claim you're just a tutor." "I am just a tutor." Amara met her eyes directly. "Your son chose to extend protection because of a threat I didn't ask for and don't want. I'm grateful for his consideration, but I have no designs on your family beyond helping Ji-hoon." "Then you're either a liar or a fool. Possibly both." "Almoni." Min-Jae's voice cracked like a whip. "That's enough." "It is not nearly enough." His mother stood, her fury finally breaking through. "You shame this family. First with that weak excuse for a wife who abandoned you, and now with this servant who speaks pretty Korean and thinks that makes her worthy of our world. She's worth more than half the people at this table." Min-Jae stood too, his entire body radiating danger. "Including you." Gasps around the room. You didn't speak to the matriarch that way. Not publicly. Not ever. But Min-Jae continued. Amara has shown more kindness and care toward your grandson in 6 weeks than you've shown in 7 years. She sees him as a person, not a disappointment. So yes, she's under my protection. And if you have a problem with that, you're welcome to leave my house. His mother's face went pale then red. For a moment, Amara thought she might actually strike her son. But instead she gathered her dignity like armor. You will regret this, she said quietly. When the Shin family uses her against you. When this entire organization sees you weakened by your attachment to an unsuitable woman. You will remember that I warned you. She swept from the room. Several of the older members exchanged uncomfortable glances, but no one followed her. Min-Jae remained standing until the door closed, then slowly sat back down. My apologies, he said to the table. My mother forgets herself sometimes. Councilman Park cleared his throat. With respect, Kangnim, she raises a valid concern. The Shin family will see this as an opening. Your feelings for Miss Thompson are evident. They will use that. Let them try. Min-Jae's hand found Amara's under the table, squeezing once. I've dealt with the Shin family for years. This changes nothing strategically. It changes everything emotionally, another man said. And emotion is weakness in our world. No. Min-Jae's voice was absolute. Emotion is what makes us human. Caring about something beyond power and money, that's strength, not weakness. Any man here who disagrees is welcome to challenge me directly. No one spoke. No one moved. The message was clear. This topic was closed. Dinner resumed, but the atmosphere was tense. Jae-hoon, sensing the conflict, pressed closer to Amara. She put her arm around him, murmuring reassurance in Korean. After dessert, as people began to leave, several approached Amara directly. Some were warm, welcoming her. Others were coldly polite. All were assessing, trying to understand what she meant to their boss. Finally, only Councilman Park remained. He approached Amara while Min-Jae was speaking with his security chief. Miss Thompson, he said in English. May I speak frankly? Please. I've known Min-Jae since he was a boy. Watched him grow into the leader he is today. Park's eyes were kind but serious. He has never claimed anyone before. Not like this. Do you understand what that means? I think so. No, I don't believe you do. Park leaned closer. In our world, claiming someone is essentially a marriage declaration without the ceremony. It says, this person is mine, I am theirs, we are bound. The entire organization now sees you as his woman, whether you intended that or not. Amara's stomach dropped. But he said it was just protection. He lied. Or rather, he told himself it was just protection while his heart knew otherwise. Park smiled slightly. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. Not even his ex-wife. You've gotten under his skin, Ms. Thompson. The question is, has he gotten under yours? Before Amara could answer, Min-Jae returned. Park bowed respectfully and left, leaving them alone with Jae-hoon, who was falling asleep on Amara's shoulder. Come on, Gutter, Min-Jae said gently. Let's get you to bed. They walked Jae-hoon to his room together. The boy was barely conscious, mumbling in Korean about brave stones and princesses. Amara tucked him in while Min-Jae stood in the doorway, watching with an expression that made her chest tight. After Jae-hoon was settled, they walked in silence toward the family quarters. At Amara's door, Min-Jae stopped. I'm sorry about my mother, he said. She was out of line. She's protective of you and Jae-hoon. I understand that. She's bitter and cruel. There's a difference. He moved closer. You were incredible tonight. The way you handled her questions, spoke Korean, protected Jae-hoon. Everyone saw it. You belong in this world, Amara, whether you believe it or not. I don't belong anywhere near your world. You're already in it. His hand cupped her face. And I'm not letting you go. Min-Jae, we need to talk about what Councilman Park said. About what claiming me actually means. It means you're mine. His thumb traced her lower lip. It means I've told everyone in my organization that you matter to me. That I'll protect you with everything I have. That anyone who touches you dies. That's insane. That's love. The word hung between them like a live grenade. Amara's breath caught. You don't love me. You barely know me. I know you speak Korean to my son at 3 a.m. when he's scared. I know you stood between him and danger without hesitation. I know you see past the monster everyone else sees and somehow find something worth caring about. His forehead pressed to hers. I know that I think about you constantly. That I sleep better when you're near. That the thought of anything happening to you makes me want to burn the world down. That's not love. That's obsession. Maybe. But it's also the truest thing I've ever felt. He kissed her softly. Tell me you feel nothing, Amara. Tell me you don't think about me. That you didn't want to kiss me as much as I wanted to kiss you. Lie to me and I'll back off. She couldn't. Because he was right. She did think about him. Did feel something when he was near. Had fallen for him somewhere between teaching his son Korean and watching him try to be a better father. This is a terrible idea, she whispered. The best things usually are. His lips brushed hers again. Let me in, Omar. Stop fighting this. If I let you in, I won't be able to walk away when it gets too dangerous. Good. Because I'm never letting you walk away anyway. He kissed her deeply, thoroughly, until she was clinging to him and kissing back with equal hunger. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his eyes were dark with want. Come to my room tonight, he said. Let me hold you. Let me show you what you mean to me. Min-Jae. Just to hold you. Nothing more unless you want it. But I need you close tonight. After everything, I just need to know you're safe. Please. How could she say no when he looked at her like that? Like she was precious? Like she mattered more than anything? Okay, she whispered. But just to sleep. His smile was knowing. Whatever you say. Min-Jae's room was dark except for the city lights streaming through the windows. He'd changed into sleep pants and a t-shirt, looking more human than crime lord. Amara had changed too, wearing simple cotton shorts and a tank top. She felt suddenly shy as she stood in his doorway. Come here, Min-Jae said softly, pulling back the covers. She climbed into his bed. He pulled her against him immediately, his arms wrapping around her like she might disappear. Thank you, he murmured into her hair. For tonight. For being brave. For standing up to my mother. She hates me. She hates everyone. Don't take it personally. His hand traced slow patterns on her back. She's been bitter since my father died. Takes it out on everyone around her. She said your ex-wife was weak. She was. Min-Jae's voice was matter-of-fact. Seon married me for the money and status. When she realized it came with danger and responsibility, she bailed. Left Jaehoon without a second thought. I should hate her, but mostly I'm just grateful she's gone. That must have hurt Jaehoon terribly. It did. He still asks about her sometimes. Wonders if he did something wrong. If he wasn't good enough. Min-Jae's arms tightened. That's why seeing him with you means everything. You chose to care about him. Not because of money or obligation, just because you saw a kid who needed help. He's easy to love. So are you. He kissed her temple. Go to sleep, Amara. I've got you. He wanted to argue to maintain some distance. But his warmth was seeping into her bones, his heartbeat steady under her ear. She felt safe in a way she hadn't in months. Years maybe. Min-Jae, she whispered. Thank you. For protecting me. For everything. Always, he promised. I'll always protect you. She fell asleep believing him. Amara woke to her phone buzzing insistently. She reached for it, disoriented, and realized she was still in Min-Jae's bed. He was already awake on his own phone, his expression dark. What's happening? She asked. Message from the Shin family. He showed her his phone. A photo. Amara's apartment building. Her old one before she moved into Min-Jae's house. Someone had spray-painted red X's on her door. Below it, a message in Korean. The tutor dies first. Ice ran through Amara's veins. They know where I used to live. They know everything. Min-Jae was already out of bed, pulling on clothes. This is them making a point. Showing me they can reach you if they want to. But I don't even live there anymore. Doesn't matter. It's a message. He turned to her, his face grim. Amara, this is going to get worse before it gets better. The Shin family won't back down just because I claimed you. They'll use you to get to me, to hurt me. Are you sure you want to stay in the middle of this? He thought about running. About disappearing somewhere the Kang family and the Shin family would never find her. About going back to her quiet, safe, boring life where no one threatened to kill her. Then she thought about Jaehoon's face when she taught him new Korean words. About Min-Jae's arms around her last night. About being part of something even if it was dangerous. I'm not leaving, she said firmly. I'm not letting them scare me away. They're going to try. Let them. She stood, moving to him. You said you'd protect me. So protect me. But I'm staying. Min-Jae's eyes blazed with something fierce and possessive. You're really not afraid of anything, are you? I'm terrified. But I'm staying anyway. He kissed her hard, claiming grateful. When he pulled back, his voice was rough. Then I'll make sure they regret ever learning your name. His phone rang. He answered in clipped Korean, his expression darkening with each word. When he hung up, he looked at Amara with murder in his eyes. What? She asked, afraid of the answer. The Shin family just made another move. They've kidnapped someone. His jaw clenched. Someone you know. Your friend Fatima from your old job. The world tilted. Fatima. her co-worker from the cleaning service. The woman who'd recommended Amara for the Kang household in the first place. No, Amara whispered. No, she has kids. 3 kids. She has nothing to do with this. They don't care. They took her to get to you. To force you out of my protection. He grabbed her shoulders. Amara, listen to me. This is a trap. They want you to trade yourself for her. And I can't let you do that. She has children. So does Jaehoon need you? I need you. I can't let her die because of me. Tears streamed down Amara's face. Min-Jae, please. There has to be a way to save her. He stared at her for a long moment. Then his expression hardened with decision. There is. But you're not going to like it. I don't care. What is it? We go get her. Together. With enough firepower to start a small war. His hands framed her face. But Amara, if we do this, if we go into Shin territory to take her back, there's no going back. You'll be fully in this world. My world. The violence, the danger, all of it. Is that really what you want? She thought about Fatima's kids. About what it would mean if their mother died because Amara had gotten involved with the wrong people. Yes, she said firmly. That's what I want. Let's go get my friend back. Min-Jae's smile was dangerous and proud. That's my woman. Let's go to war. 20 minutes later, Amara sat in the back of an armored SUV, surrounded by men with enough weapons to invade a small country. Min-Jae was beside her, his hand gripping hers, his jaw set with the cold determination of someone about to commit violence. Tell me the plan again, Amara said, her voice steadier than she felt. Junho, Min-Jae's second-in-command, turned from the front seat. We have a location. Warehouse in Shin Territory Industrial District. Our intel says they're holding your friend there with minimal guard. They think we won't come because it's too obvious a trap. They're right that it's a trap, Min-Jae said. They're wrong thinking that will stop me. How many men does Shin have there? Amara asked. Maybe 15. We're bringing 30. Junho's expression was grim. But Miss Thompson, you need to understand, people are going to die today. Our people, their people. This isn't a negotiation. This is war. Amara swallowed hard. I understand. Do you? Min-Jae turned to her. Because once we start this, there's no stopping it. The Shin family will retaliate. This feud will escalate. People will die because you asked me to save your friend. People will die if we don't save her too, Amara shot back. At least this way Fatima's kids still have a mother. Something flickered in Min-Jae's eyes. Respect maybe. Or love disguised as pride. All right, he said. But you stay in the car. You stay with 2 guards who will drive you away the moment things go bad. Non-negotiable, Amara. I can't fight if I'm worried about you getting shot. Fine. Promise me. She met his eyes. I promise I'll stay in the car as long as it's safe to do so. That's not. He stopped, reading her expression. You're going to do something stupid if things go wrong, aren't you? I'm going to do whatever's necessary to save my friend. Min-Jae stared at her, then laughed without humor. God help me, I'm in love with the most stubborn woman in Chicago. Second most stubborn, Junho muttered. Your mother exists. Despite everything, Amara smiled. Min-Jae squeezed her hand once more, then released it, his entire demeanor shifting. The gentle man disappeared. The crime lord emerged. Everyone clear on the plan? He said into his comms. Affirmative responses came from the other vehicles. Good. We go in fast and hard. Secure the hostage. Anyone who raises a weapon dies. No mercy, no hesitation. This is about sending a message. You don't touch what's mine. The vehicles moved through Chicago's streets like sharks. Dawn was breaking, the city just starting to wake. Most people would be having coffee, getting ready for work, living normal lives. Amar was about to watch people die. The warehouse was exactly what she'd expected from movies. Gray concrete, broken windows, graffiti tags declaring whose territory this was. 3 SUVs were parked outside. Guards visible at the entrance. Min-Jae's convoy parked 2 blocks away. The men exited silently, checking weapons, pulling on tactical gear. They moved with military precision, no wasted movement, no hesitation. Min-Jae turned to Amara one last time. Stay here. Please. If something happens to me, Junho knows to take you and Jaehoon somewhere safe. There's a safety deposit box with instructions, money, everything you need. Nothing's going to happen to you. But if it does. Amara grabbed his face and kissed him. Hard and desperate and full of every feeling she'd been too afraid to name. Come back to me. To us. Jaehoon needs his father. And I. He swallowed. I need you too. Say it, Min-Jae urged, his hands on her waist. Say what you feel. I love you. The words tumbled out. I don't know when it happened, but I love you, Min-Jae Kang. So don't you dare die in there. His smile was brilliant and fierce. I love you too. More than anything. He kissed her once more then pulled away. Stay in the car. He was gone before she could respond, moving with his men toward the warehouse like a shadow. Amara sat with her assigned guards, two young men who looked barely out of their 20s but carried their weapons with professional ease. Through the tinted windows she watched the assault begin. It was fast. Brutally, efficiently fast. Min-Jae's men hit the warehouse from 3 sides simultaneously. Gunfire erupted. Amara flinched at every shot, her hands clenched so tight her nails drew blood from her palms. The guards at the entrance went down first. More of Shin's men poured out, but they were outgunned and outmaneuvered. Min-Jae moved through them like death itself, every shot precise, every movement calculated. Then something went wrong. An explosion rocked the warehouse's west side. Flames erupted. One of Min-Jae's men went flying, hitting the ground and not moving. Shit, one of Amara's guards muttered. They had explosives rigged. That wasn't in the intel. Through the smoke and chaos, Amara saw figures emerging from a side entrance she hadn't noticed. They were dragging someone, a woman in a bright yellow hijab. Fatima. But they weren't taking her to safety. They were loading her into one of the SUVs. They're running, the other guard said. Taking the hostage and running while we're distracted by the explosion. We have to tell Min-Jae, Amara said urgently. He's inside. Comms might be down from the blast. The guard grabbed his radio anyway, trying to raise someone. Static. The SUV with Fatima started moving. Away from the warehouse. Away from Min-Jae's team. Away from any chance of rescue. Amara made a decision that was either brave or suicidal. Probably both. Follow that car, she told her guards. Miss Thompson, our orders are to keep me safe. My friend is in that vehicle. If we lose her now, she's dead. So follow that car. The guards exchanged looks. Then the driver cursed and started the engine. They pulled out, keeping distance but maintaining visual contact. The Shin SUV wound through industrial streets, clearly trying to lose any tail. Amara's driver was good though, staying close without being obvious. We need backup, the other guard said, still trying the radio. We can't take them alone. Then get backup. But don't lose that car. They followed for 10 minutes. Finally, the SUV pulled into another warehouse, even more isolated than the first. Amara watched 4 men drag Fatima inside. Her friend was struggling, clearly terrified but alive. Tao what? The driver asked. Good question. Amara had no training for this. No experience with violence or rescue operations. She was a tutor who spoke Korean, not an action hero. But she was also a woman who'd lost her mother to a system that didn't care. Who'd spent years fighting for every small victory. Who'd learned that sometimes you had to be brave even when you were terrified. We go in, she said. Are you insane? The guard beside her asked. There's at least 4 of them, 2 of us and you're a civilian. 3 of us. Amar met his eyes. I can help. You'll get killed. Maybe. But I'm not leaving my friend in there. She took a breath. Look, I speak Korean. If any of them are Korean, and they probably are since they work for Shin, I can talk to them. Negotiate. Buy time until Min-Jae gets here. The guards looked at each other again. Finally, the driver sighed. If Kangnim asks, you forced us at gunpoint. Deal. They approached carefully. The warehouse had a side door that was ajar. Inside, Amara could hear voices. Korean voices arguing. Shouldn't have grabbed her. Kang will destroy us. Boss's orders. We use her to draw out the woman. What woman? The tutor. Why does she matter? Because Kang claimed her. Publicly. That means she's valuable. We trade the friend for the tutor, then we have real leverage. Amara's blood ran cold. This whole thing was about her. Fatima had been taken to lure Amara out. To get her away from Min-Jae's protection. And she'd walked right into it. Her guard heard it too. Miss Thompson, he whispered urgently. We need to leave. No. This is a trap for you. All the more reason to end it here. Amara straightened her spine. I'm going in. Cover me. Before they could stop her, she walked through the door. 4 men spun toward her, weapons rising. Amara raised her hands, speaking in calm, clear Korean. I'm the one you want. Amara Thompson. I'm here to trade myself for Fatima Ahmed. Let her go and you can take me to your boss. Stunned silence. Then one of the men, older, clearly in charge, laughed. The tutor just walked into our trap. Shinnim will be pleased. He'll be pleased when you complete your job without more of his men dying, Amara said, keeping her voice steady. Min-Jae Kang knows where I am. He's coming. But if you let Fatima go now, I'll come quietly. No fight. No more death. Your boss gets what he wants and you all survive the day. Or we just take you both, another man said. Better leverage. Worse outcome. Amara's eyes met his. Because then Min-Jae won't negotiate. He'll just kill everyone. But if you let her go, if you show mercy, maybe he shows mercy too. Maybe you live to see tomorrow. The men conferred in rapid Korean. Fatima, tied to a chair in the corner, stared at Amara with wide, terrified eyes. Amara, what are you doing? She whispered in English. Get out of here. Not without you. The leader made a decision. Fine. We let the Muslim woman go. You come with us. But if you fight, if you try anything, we kill her anyway. Understood. Understood. He nodded to one of his men who cut Fatima's bonds. She stumbled forward and Amara caught her. Listen to me, Amara whispered in English. My guards are outside. They'll take you to safety. Tell Min-Jae where I am. Tell him. Tell him I'm sorry I broke my promise. Amara, no. Go. Your kids need their mom. She pushed Fatima toward the door. Her friend stumbled out, and Amara heard her guards immediately moving to secure her. Then rough hands grabbed Amara, zip-tying her wrists behind her back. Good trade, the leader said. Shinnim will reward us well. A hostage Kang actually cares about is worth 10 random civilians. They dragged her toward a back exit. Amara didn't fight. She'd bought Fatima's freedom. She'd saved her friend's children from becoming orphans. Whatever happened next, at least she'd done that. The door exploded inward. Min-Jae came through it like an avenging angel, gun raised, his face a mask of cold fury. Behind him, Junho and 6 more men fanned out. Let her go. Min-Jae's voice was death itself. Now. The Shin men grabbed for their weapons. Too slow. Min-Jae fired 3 times. 3 men dropped. The leader tried to use Amara as a shield, his gun to her head. Back off or she dies, he shouted in Korean. Min-Jae's gun didn't waver. You think I won't shoot through her to get to you? You love her. Everyone knows it. I do love her. Min-Jae's eyes met Amara's. Something passed between them. Trust, connection, understanding. Which is why I've trained for this exact scenario. He fired. The bullet passed so close to Amara's ear she felt the heat. It hit the man behind her in the shoulder, his gun arm. He dropped the weapon with a scream. Junho moved instantly, pulling Amara away. Min-Jae was on the Shin operative in seconds, his gun pressed to the man's forehead. Give me one reason I shouldn't paint this floor with your brain, Min-Jae said quietly. Boss's orders. Your boss just made the worst mistake of his life. Min-Jae's finger tightened on the trigger. When you see him in hell, tell him I'm coming for him next. Min-Jae, don't. Amara's voice stopped him. Please. Enough people have died today. He tried to kill you. But he didn't. I'm fine. Let him take a message back to Shin. That I'm under your protection and anyone who touches me dies. But not him. Let one live to tell the story. Min-Jae stared at her like she was insane. Then slowly he lowered the gun. You have 30 seconds to run, he told the wounded man. Tell Shin Taeyong that he's declared war. That I'm coming for everything he has. And that the next time he comes near the woman I love, I won't show mercy. The man scrambled away, clutching his shoulder. His remaining companion helped him and they fled. Then Min-Jae turned to Amara and the fury in his eyes made her shrink back. You promised, he said, his voice shaking. You promised to stay in the car. Fatima was getting away. I had to. You had to nearly get yourself killed? He crossed to her, his hands framing her face almost roughly. Do you have any idea what went through my mind when my guard radioed that you'd gone after them? When I realized you'd traded yourself. I saved her. You could have died. His voice broke. Amara, I can't lose you. Do you understand? I've lost too much already. My father, my wife's loyalty, years of my life to violence. But you, losing you would destroy me. Tears streamed down her face. I'm sorry. But Min, I couldn't let her die because of me. So you were willing to die instead? Yes. She met his eyes. Yes, I was. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You protect them even if it costs you everything. You taught me that. He kissed her desperately, his hands tangling in her hair. When he pulled back, his forehead pressed to hers. You're so brave and so stupid and I love you so much it terrifies me, he whispered. Don't ever do that again. I can't promise that. Amara. I can't promise to always stay safe when people I love are in danger. That's not who I am. She kissed him softly. But I can promise I'll try to come back to you. Always. He held her like she was precious, like she might disappear if he let go. Junho cleared his throat. Kunam, we should move. Police will respond to the gunfire soon, and we'd rather not be here when they arrive. Min-Jae nodded, reluctantly releasing Amara. He cut her zip ties, rubbing her wrists where they'd marked her skin. Let's go home, he said. Jihun's probably worried. The ride back was quiet. Min-Jae kept Amara pressed against his side, his arm around her shoulders like he couldn't bear to have space between them. Fatima sat across from them, still shaking but safe. Thank you, she kept saying. Thank you for saving me. For risking everything. You'd have done the same, Amara said. I don't know about that. Fatima looked at Min-Jae. Your man is terrifying, Amara. But he loves you. I've never seen anyone move that fast or shoot that accurately to save someone. He has practice, Amara said dryly. Min-Jae's lips twitched. Too much practice. At the mansion, Mrs. Chin met them at the door with Jihun. The boy took one look at his father's blood-stained clothes and Amara's tear-streaked face and burst into tears. I thought you weren't coming back, he sobbed. The guard said there was fighting and explosions and I thought. Amara knelt, pulling him into her arms. I'm here, sweetheart. We're both here. We're safe. Promise. Jihun pulled back to look at her face. Promise you'll always come back? She glanced at Min-Jae, who nodded slightly. Permission to make a promise they both knew would be hard to keep. I promise I'll fight with everything I have to always come back to you, Amara said in Korean. Because you're my family now, Jihuna. And family doesn't abandon each other. Even though you're not my real mom? The question pierced her heart. Especially because I chose to be your mom. Real family is the people who choose to love you, not just the ones who share your blood. Jihun processed this, then looked at his father. Appa, can Amarshi really be my mom? Like officially? Min-Jae's eyes met Amara's over their son's head. Would you like that? He asked quietly. To be his mom officially? Amara's throat tightened. They were talking about marriage. About forever. About binding their lives together in every possible way. She started. Don't answer now, Min-Jae said quickly. Today's been intense. We'll talk about it when things calm down. But Jihun was having none of it. Please, Amarshi. I promise I'll be good. I'll practice my Korean every day. I'll eat all my vegetables. Just please be my mom. How could she say anything but yes to that face? I'd be honored to be your mom, she said softly. If your Appa asks me properly. Jihun beamed. Appa has to ask. You have to ask. Soon, Min-Jae promised, his eyes still on Amara. Very soon. That evening, after Fatima had been settled in a guest room with her kids brought to stay for safety, after Jihun was finally asleep, after the household had returned to some semblance of normal, Min-Jae found Amara on the terrace. She stood at the railing looking out over Chicago's lights. The city glittered like nothing violent had happened. Like people didn't die in warehouses while others had breakfast. Hey, Min-Jae said softly, joining her. Hey. How are you feeling? Amara laughed without humor. I watched people die today. I was held at gunpoint. I traded myself for a hostage. How do you think I'm feeling? Terrible. Terrified. Exhilarated. Guilty. Alive. He turned to him. Is this what every day is like for you? This combination of horror and adrenaline? Sometimes. Less now than it used to be. I've been trying to transition to more legitimate operations. But you can't fully. Because of men like Shin Taeyong. No. I can't fully. His expression was pained. Amara, if you want out, if this is too much, I'll understand. I'll make sure you're protected, set you up somewhere safe far from Chicago. You and Fatima both. I won't force you to stay in this world. I don't want to leave. He looked startled. You don't. Today was horrible. But it also showed me something. She took his hand. It showed me what I'm capable of. What we're capable of together. You trusted me to make the right call. You came for me when I was in danger. We saved Fatima. We won. Barely. But we did. She moved closer. Min-Jae, I'm not naive. I know your world is dangerous. I know there will be more days like today, more threats, more violence. But I also know that Jihun needs me. That you need me. And I need you both. You deserve better than this. I deserve to choose my own life. And I choose you. I choose him. I choose this family we're building. She cupped his face. So stop trying to push me away for my own good. I'm a grown woman. I can decide what's worth the risk. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Min-Jae kissed her, slow and deep and full of promise. When he pulled back, he reached into his pocket. I was going to wait. Do this properly with flowers and a ring and a romantic setting. He pulled out a small velvet box. But I've learned that waiting for the perfect moment means missing the real moments. So I'm asking now. Amara Thompson, will you marry me? Will you be Jihun's mother officially? Will you stand beside me and help me be better than what I was raised to be? Amara's hands trembled as he opened the box. The ring inside was stunning. A deep blue sapphire surrounded by diamonds. It was my grandmother's, Min-Jae said. The only person in my family who believed love was more important than power. She'd have loved you. Min-Jae. I know it's fast. I know we've only known each other 2 months. But in my world you don't wait for tomorrow because tomorrow isn't promised. You claim what matters while you can. His eyes held hers. You matter, Amara. You're everything. Say yes. She thought about her mother who'd have been horrified. About her friends who'd call her crazy. About every logical reason to say no. Then she thought about Jaehoon's smile when she taught him Korean. About Min-Jae's arms around her in the night. About being part of something bigger than herself. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Min-Jae's smile was brilliant. He slid the ring onto her finger, a perfect fit, then lifted her into his arms and kissed her until they were both breathless. I love you, he said against her lips. My brave, stubborn, perfect woman. I'll spend the rest of my life protecting you and honoring you and trying to deserve you. You already deserve me. She kissed him back. We deserve each other. The broken pieces finding each other and making something whole. They stood together on the terrace, holding each other while the city stretched below them. Somewhere out there Shin Taeyong was planning his next move. Somewhere danger waited. But tonight in this moment they had each other. They had Jaehoon sleeping safely inside. They had a future they were choosing together. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't safe. But it was theirs. And that was enough. The engagement announcement sent shockwaves through both Min-Jae's organization and Chicago's Korean community. Within hours of the ring appearing on Amara's finger, the mansion was flooded with responses. Some congratulatory. Many concerned. A few openly hostile. Min-Jae's mother didn't call. She arrived. Amara was in the tutoring room with Jaehoon when Mrs. Kang swept in like a winter storm. The older woman's eyes went immediately to the sapphire on Amara's hand, and her face turned to stone. Out, she said to Jaehoon in Korean. I need to speak with this woman alone. But we're in the middle of a lesson. Now. Jaehoon looked at Amara who nodded gently. It's okay, sweetheart. Why don't you go practice your writing? I'll test you later. After he left, reluctantly Mrs. Kang circled Amara like a predator. My mother-in-law's ring. He gave you the family heirloom. Yes, ma'am. You must be very proud of yourself. The words dripped venom. Trapping my son with your foreign charms. Using his son to manipulate him into marriage. Amara stood, keeping her voice level. I didn't trap anyone. Min-Jae proposed. I said yes because I love him and Jaehoon. Love. Mrs. Kang laughed bitterly. You love his money. His power. The lifestyle he can provide. Don't insult me with fairy tales. Think whatever you want. Amara met her eyes. But I'm marrying your son. I'm becoming Jaehoon's mother. And nothing you say will change that. We'll see. Mrs. Kang moved closer, her voice dropping to something dangerous. You think you've won, but you don't understand how this world works. My son's enemies will use you against him. His allies won't respect him for choosing someone so unsuitable. And when it all falls apart, when the violence and pressure become too much, you'll leave. Just like his first wife. And Jaehoon will be broken again. I'm nothing like his first wife. No, you're worse. Because Jaehoon loves you. When you leave it will destroy him. The words hit their target. Amara had thought the same thing herself late at night. What if she couldn't handle this world? What if she broke under the pressure and abandoned them? But then she thought about this morning, when Jaehoon had crawled into bed with her and Min-Jae, chattering in Korean about his dreams. About Min-Jae's arms around both of them, his expression content in a way Mrs. Chin said she'd never seen before. I'm not leaving, Amara said firmly. I'm not your son's first wife who married for status. I'm not you who stayed bitter after losing love. I'm someone who chooses this family every day, knowing exactly what it costs. So you can accept that or you can leave. But either way I'm staying. Mrs. Kang's hand moved faster than Amara expected. The slap cracked across her face, sharp and stinging. You dare speak to me that way? In my son's house. Amara's cheek burned but she didn't flinch. Didn't raise her hand to the mark she knew was forming. Just stood there, letting Mrs. Kang see that violence wouldn't break her either. The door slammed open. Min-Jae stood there having apparently heard everything. His expression was terrifying. Did you just hit her? His voice was deadly quiet. Mrs. Kang lifted her chin. She was disrespectful. I was teaching her. Get out. Min-Jae crossed to Amara, his fingers gently touching her reddening cheek. Get out of my house. You're no longer welcome here. I'm your mother. You're a bitter woman who can't stand seeing others happy because you've forgotten how. He turned to face her, and Amara saw the little boy who'd been hurt by his mother's cruelty now grown into a man who wouldn't tolerate it. I've made excuses for you for years. Let you treat people terribly because you're family. But you just hit my fiancé. The woman I love. The woman who will be my wife and Jaehoon's mother. That's unforgivable. She's not suitable. She's perfect. Min-Jae's voice was absolute. She's kind and brave and she loves us despite every reason not to. You should be grateful I found someone like her. Sid, you're cruel. So you have a choice, Stony. Apologize to Amara and accept our marriage or leave and don't come back. Mrs. Kang stared at her son, clearly shocked he'd actually choose a woman over his mother. Then her face twisted with rage. You'll regret this. When she leaves, when it all falls apart, don't come crying to me. I won't need to. Because Amara isn't leaving. But you are. Mrs. Kang swept from the room. They heard the front door slam minutes later, followed by a car engine. Min-Jae turned back to Amara, his hands framing her face carefully, examining the mark his mother had left. I'm so sorry, he said roughly. She had no right. It's okay. It's not okay. She hit you. His thumb traced the red mark gently. Does it hurt? I pried more than my face. Amara managed a weak smile. I've taken harder hits in my life. You shouldn't have to take any hits. He kissed her forehead. I meant what I said. She's not welcome here anymore. Not until she apologizes and means it. Min-Jae, she's your mother. And you're going to be my wife. My partner. The mother of my son and hopefully more children someday. His eyes held hers. Family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up, who love you, who fight for you. You do that. He doesn't. So she can either learn to do better or she can stay away. Footsteps in the hallway. Jaehoon appeared, his eyes wide and frightened. Appa, why did grandmother leave angry? Did I do something wrong? No, 아들. Min-Jae knelt to his level. Grandmother was unkind to Amara. So I asked her to leave until she learns to be respectful. She was mean to Mama Amara? Jaehoon's face scrunched with fury. That's not okay. Mama Amara is the best. She is, Min-Jae agreed. Which is why we protect her. Just like she protects us. Jaehoon threw his arms around Amara's waist. I'm sorry grandmother was mean. You're the best mom ever. Don't let her make you sad. Amara's eyes burned with tears. I'm not sad, sweetheart. I'm happy. Because I have you and your Appa. They stood together, the three of them, a family bound not by blood but by choice. Outside, Mrs. Kang's car disappeared down the drive. It should have felt like victory. Instead, Amara felt uneasy. Like they'd just made an enemy who knew exactly how to hurt them. Wedding planning began immediately. Min-Jae wanted to marry her within the month. Before anything else can go wrong, he said, only half joking. Amara agreed. In this world, tomorrow wasn't guaranteed. Might as well claim happiness while you could. They decided on a fusion ceremony. Korean traditions mixed with elements from Amara's Ugandan heritage. It would be held at the mansion, intimate and private. Just family and close associates. My mother will probably show up anyway, Min-Jae said tiredly one evening as they reviewed seating charts. And cause a scene. Then we'll handle it. Amara squeezed his hand. Together. Together, he echoed, kissing her knuckles. Jaehoon was thrilled to be included in every decision. He helped pick flowers, yellow roses because they were happy, chose the cake flavors, chocolate and vanilla because he couldn't decide, and practiced his role as ring bearer with serious dedication. I have to do it perfectly, he explained in Korean. Because it's Appa and Mama Amara's special day. I want them to be proud. We're already proud, Amara assured him. Always. Fatima, who decided to stay in Chicago and work as Amara's assistant rather than return to her dangerous neighborhood, helped with planning. Her 3 kids had become fixtures at the mansion, playing with Jaehoon and bringing noise and chaos that the old house seemed to welcome. You're building something beautiful, Fatima said one afternoon while they addressed invitations. A real family. Multiple cultures, multiple backgrounds, all coming together. If we survive the next 2 weeks, Amara muttered. Because tension was rising. The Shin family had been quiet since the warehouse incident, which made everyone nervous. Quiet meant planning. Quiet meant something big was coming. Min-Jae doubled security. Guards followed Amara everywhere. The mansion was essentially a fortress. Jaehoon's school had been informed that only specific people could pick him up, with passwords and photo verification required. We're living in a prison, Amara said one evening, frustrated after another day of being shadowed. We're living safely, Min-Jae corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Because I can't even go to the grocery store alone. You don't need to go to the grocery store. We have staff. That's not the point. Amara stood pacing. The point is that I'm losing my independence. My freedom. All because of this feud with Shin that I barely understand. Min-Jae was quiet for a long moment. Then, you're right. You deserve to understand. Sit down. I'll tell you everything. So he did. The history of the Kang and Shin families, rivalries going back decades. Territory disputes, business conflicts, personal grudges that had escalated into war. Min-Jae's father had kept an uneasy peace with the previous Shin patriarch. But when both men died within months of each other, their sons Min-Jae and Taeyong had immediately clashed. Taeyong believes territory is everything, Min-Jae explained. He's ruthless, paranoid, and he sees any sign of weakness as opportunity. When I claimed you publicly, when I showed that I care about someone more than just power, he saw that as weakness. Something he can exploit. So he'll keep coming after me. Yes. Until I eliminate him or he eliminates me. Amara absorbed this. There's no peaceful resolution? No way to end this without more death. Not with Taeyong. He's too ambitious. Too violent. Min-Jae took her hands. I'm sorry, Amara. I'm sorry that loving me puts you in danger. If I could change it. I don't want you to change it. She squeezed his hands. I just want to understand what we're facing. So I can help fight it. You shouldn't have to fight. But I do. Because we're partners, Min-Jae. That's what marriage means. Your battles are my battles now. He pulled her into his arms, holding tight. How did I get so lucky? You didn't. You got me. And I'm stubborn and complicated, and I'm going to drive you crazy. I wouldn't want it any other way. 1 week before the wedding, Shin Taeyong made his move. It started with a phone call. Min-Jae answered, listened for 30 seconds, then his face went white. What? Amara asked, fear clawing at her throat. Jae-hoon. Min-Jae was already moving, grabbing his gun. They took him from school. The world stopped. What? How? You said the school had security. They had someone on the inside. A teacher we didn't vet properly. He was shouting orders into his phone in Korean, mobilizing his entire organization. Junho, every man we have. Every resource. Find my son. Now. Amara couldn't breathe. Jae-hoon. Sweet, brave Jae-hoon who'd just learned to tie his shoes, who practiced Korean every night, who'd drawn her a picture of their family that hung on her wall. I'm coming with you, she said. Amara, no. He's my son too. Her voice broke. I'm coming. Min-Jae looked at her, saw the determination and nodded once. Get a vest. We leave in 2 minutes. They mobilized like an army. 20 vehicles, over 60 men, every weapon in Min-Jae's considerable arsenal. Junho had already tracked Jae-hoon's location through a tracker sewn into his school backpack, something Min-Jae had insisted on after the first attack. Abandoned factory on the south side, Junho reported. Shin's main base of operations. He's not even hiding. He wants us to come. It's a trap, one of the lieutenants said. He's luring us into a kill box. I don't care. Min-Jae's voice was absolute. My son is in there. We're getting him out. The drive was silent and tense. Amara sat beside Min-Jae, her hand in his, both of them holding on like it was the only thing keeping them sane. We'll get him back, she whispered. We will. If anything happens to him, Min-Jae's voice broke. Amara, if I lose him, I don't know what I'll become. You won't lose him. We won't lose him. She squeezed his hand harder. Because we're fighting together. And together we're unstoppable. The factory loomed ahead. Bigger than the warehouse, more fortified. Shin's people were visible on the roofs at the entrances, armed and ready. Min-Jae's convoy stopped just outside weapon range. A man stepped out from the factory, Shin Taeyong himself. Amara had seen photos, but in person he was more intimidating. Older than Min-Jae, with cold eyes and a smile that promised cruelty. Kang Min-Jae, he called in Korean. You came. I wasn't sure you would. Some men value power over family. Where is my son? Min-Jae stepped out of the vehicle, his gun holstered but ready. Amara stayed close behind him, wearing the bulletproof vest he'd insisted on. Safe. For now. Shin gestured to the factory. I have a proposal. You meet inside. We settle this. Winner takes everything. Territory, operations, your precious family. Loser dies. No deal. Min-Jae's voice was steel. Release my son, then we talk. That's not how this works. Shin's smile widened. You come inside alone or I send the boy out in pieces. Your choice. Horror and rage warred on Min-Jae's face. Amara grabbed his arm. Don't, she whispered urgently. It's a death trap. The moment you go in there alone, he'll kill you and Jae-hoon both. If I don't go, he kills Jae-hoon anyway. Then we go in together. With our people. We fight our way in and we get him out. Too many of my people will die. And Jae-hoon might get caught in the crossfire. Min-Jae. He turned to her, his hands framing her face. I need you to do something for me. No. Whatever you're thinking, no. If I don't come out, if this goes wrong, take Jihun somewhere safe. Use the resources in the safety deposit box. Raise him well. Teach him Korean and tell him his father loved him more than anything. His voice cracked. Promise me. I won't promise that because you're coming out alive. Both of you. Amara. No. Tears streamed down her face. I just agreed to marry you. I'm not letting you die a week before our wedding. So either we both go in or neither of us does. Something shifted in Min-Jae's expression. You'd really walk in there with me? Into certain death. I'd walk into hell with you if it meant protecting our son. He kissed her, desperate and fierce. I love you. More than my own life. Then stay alive for me. He pulled back, an idea forming. Wait, Shin wants you. He wants to prove he's stronger, better. What if we give him what he wants but on our terms? What do you mean? Challenge him. Publicly. One-on-one. But with witnesses from both sides. Everyone watches. The winner takes control, the loser backs down. If he's really about honor and power, he can't refuse without looking weak in front of his own people. Junho, who'd been listening, nodded slowly. It could work. Traditional challenge. Old school. His men would respect it. Or he could just shoot me the moment I step inside, Min-Jae said. Not with witnesses. Not if his own people are watching. He'd lose all credibility. Amara grabbed his hands. Min-Jae's risky. But it's better than you walking in there to certain death. He thought for a long moment, then nodded. All right. We do it your way. He turned back to Shin, calling out, I accept your challenge. One-on-one, you and me. But with witnesses. Your top 5 men, my top 5. They watch, they don't interfere. Winner takes everything. You have the balls to face me fairly, or are you a coward who needs an army to fight your battles? The insult echoed across the space. Shin's face darkened, but he couldn't back down now. Not in front of his people. Agreed, he shouted back. But the woman stays outside. This is between men. The woman is my fiancée. She's family. She witnesses or there's no deal. Shin considered, then shrugged. Fine. Bring your woman. Let her watch you die. They entered the factory slowly. Min-Jae's 5 most trusted men, including Junho. Amara staying close to Min-Jae's side. Shin's 5 men met them, weapons visible but not raised. In the center of the factory, Jihun sat tied to a chair, his face tear-stained but defiant. When he saw his father and Amara, relief flooded his features. Appa. Mama Amara, he called out in Korean. I didn't tell them anything. Just like you taught me. You did perfect, daughter, Min-Jae said, his voice tight with emotion. So brave. Touching. Shin circled them like a shark. No. The terms. We fight until one of us can't continue. No weapons. Just skill and will. Winner takes the loser's territory, operations and... His eyes slid to Amara. Assets. Touch her and you die regardless of this fight's outcome, Min-Jae growled. We'll see. Shin removed his jacket, revealing a muscled frame covered in scars. Ready to die, Kang? Ready to end you. They clashed like thunder. The fight was brutal. These weren't street brawlers or amateurs. They were trained killers who'd survived years in a violent world. Shin was older but vicious, fighting dirty. Min-Jae was younger, faster, but holding back slightly, afraid that if he killed Shin, the man's forces would execute Jihun in revenge. Amara watched in horror as they traded blows. Blood flew. Bones cracked. Both men fought with the desperation of those who had everything to lose. Shin got the upper hand, pinning Min-Jae and raining down punches. Amara screamed, starting forward, but Junho held her back. He needs to do this himself, Junho said quietly. It's the only way it ends. But Min-Jae was losing. His face was a bloody mess. His movements slowing. Appa. Jihun's voice cut through the violence. 너는 용감한 사람이야. You're a brave person. Don't give up. The Korean phrase Amara had taught him. The one they'd practiced together. Min-Jae's eyes focused. Something reignited in them. He bucked Shin off with a roar, rolling and coming up swinging. The fight shifted. Now Min-Jae was the aggressor, channeling every ounce of love for his son, every promise he'd made to Amara, every reason he had to survive. He got Shin in a chokehold. The older man struggled, gasped, clawed. But Min-Jae held firm. Yield, Min-Jae growled in Korean. Yield or die. Your choice. For a long moment Shin fought. Then as his vision darkened he tapped out. The universal signal of surrender. Min-Jae released him immediately, stepping back. Shin collapsed, gasping. It's done, Min-Jae said to the watching men. I won. By the terms we agreed to, Shin's territory is now mine. His operations are dissolved. This feud ends here. Shin's men looked at each other. Then slowly they nodded. Honor had been satisfied. The challenge was fair. They would accept the outcome. Junho moved immediately to free Jihun. The boy launched himself at his father and Min-Jae caught him with a grunt of pain, holding him tight. "I've got you," Min-Jae whispered. "I've got you, Otter." Amara joined them, wrapping her arms around both. Their family battered but whole. Shin struggled to his feet, his face a mask of rage and humiliation. "This isn't over, Kang." "Yes, it is." Min-Jae's voice was absolute. "You challenged me. You lost. Now you leave Chicago. Take your remaining people and go. If I see you again, the next fight won't be honorable. You'll regret showing mercy." "Maybe. But I'd regret becoming like you even more." Shin limped away, his men following. The war that had defined both their lives for years ended not with a massacre, but with a fight and a choice. The wedding happened exactly 1 week later as planned. Min-Jae had a black eye and bruised ribs. Amara's hands still shook sometimes when she thought about how close they'd come to losing everything. But Jihun was safe. The Shin threat was gone. And they were getting married. The ceremony was beautiful. Korean traditions mixed with Ugandan. Min-Jae wore a traditional hanbok in deep blue. Amara wore a dress that blended both cultures, hanbok structure with African fabrics and patterns. Jihun carried the rings with such serious concentration that everyone smiled. When he reached his parents at the altar, he whispered loudly, "I didn't drop them." "Perfect," Min-Jae whispered back. "Just like you." The vows were spoken in both Korean and English. Promises to love, to protect, to stand together through whatever came. When Min-Jae kissed his bride, Jihun cheered, and the gathered guests, associates from Min-Jae's organization, Amara's few friends including Fatima, and even some members of the Korean community who'd come to support them, applauded. Notably absent, Min-Jae's mother. She'd sent a card. No message, just her name. Not an apology, not acceptance. But acknowledgement at least that the marriage was happening. "Maybe someday," Amara said later at the reception, looking at the card. "Maybe," Min-Jae agreed. "But if not, we have our own family now. One we chose. One that's real." He pulled her onto the dance floor. They moved together and Amara thought about how far they'd come. From maid and employer to partners in every sense. From strangers to soulmates. "What are you thinking?" Min-Jae asked, reading her expression. "That I found you teaching Korean in a library at 3 a.m. and somehow that led to this. To us. To everything. Fate," he said simply. "Inun. The connection that was always meant to be." "I love you," she said in Korean. "사랑해요." "I love you too," he replied in English. "Forever." Jihun appeared, tugging on both their hands. "Can I dance too? Please." They pulled him between them, the three of them moving together. A family bound not by blood but by choice, by love, by survival. Around them the party continued. Laughter and music filled the mansion that had once felt cold and empty. Now it was a home. Their home. Fatima caught Amara's eye from across the room, giving her a thumbs up. Amara grinned back. She'd saved her friend's life. Her friend had witnessed her happiness. Full circle. Later that night, after the guests left and Jihun was asleep, Min-Jae and Amara stood in their bedroom. Officially shared now, not just the result of crisis or convenience but by choice and commitment. "Mrs. Kang," Min-Jae said, testing out the name. "How does it feel?" "Strange. Good. Terrifying." Amara smiled. "Like everything with you." He pulled her close. "I promise you, for the rest of our lives, I will protect you and love you and try to be worthy of what you've given me. You already are." She kissed him softly. "And I promise to stand beside you, teach our son, and remind you every day that you're more than what you were raised to be." "Our son," he repeated. "Not just mine anymore. Ours." "Ours," she confirmed. "And maybe someday more? More kids." His eyes lit up. "You want more?" "Maybe. Eventually. When things are calmer." She laughed. "If they ever are. With our life? Probably not." He kissed her deeply. "But we'll handle it. Together." "Together," she agreed. They fell into bed and for the first time in months, neither of them worried about threats or violence or tomorrow. They just existed in this moment, in this joy, in this love they'd fought so hard to build. 3 years later. The tutoring room had expanded. Now it held spaces for 3 children instead of 1. Jihun, 10 years old now, fluent in Korean and confident in ways he'd never been before, helped his little sister practice her alphabet. Min-Jae was 4, named for Min-Jae but with Amara's bright smile and stubborn spirit. And in Amara's arms 6-month-old Sung, their newest addition, cooed and grabbed at her braids. "너는 응가만파," Jihun said to Min-Jae in Korean. "You're a brave girl. Now say it back." Min-Jae repeated it perfectly and Ji-hoon beamed with pride. Mama Amara, she's getting so good. She has an excellent teacher, Amara said warmly. Min-Jae appeared in the doorway, home early from work. His legitimate work now, he'd successfully transitioned most of his operations away from criminal enterprises. Some associates had grumbled. Others had followed his lead. The Kang organization was transforming into something almost respectable. How's my family? He asked in English. Perfect, Amara replied in Korean, their constant mixing of languages now second nature. He crossed to them, kissing Amara, then Min-Jae's head, then baby Sung's forehead. Ji-hoon got a hair ruffle that made him laugh. Appa, guess what? I got an A on my Korean test at school. The teacher said my pronunciation is the best in class. Of course it is. Min-Jae's pride was obvious. You have the best teacher. 2 best teachers, Ji-hoon corrected. You and Mama Amara. On the wall, photographs told their story. The library where they'd first met. Their wedding day. Ji-hoon's adoption papers, officially making him Amara's son legally. Min-Jae's birth. Sung's arrival. And one photo from last month. Min-Jae's mother holding baby Sung, her expression soft in a way it hadn't been in years. She'd reached out 6 months after the wedding. It had taken time, patience, and many difficult conversations. But slowly, painfully, she'd begun to accept Amara. Begun to see what her son saw, that this woman was exactly what their family needed. She still wasn't warm. Probably never would be. But she came to family dinners now. She taught Min-Jae traditional Korean songs. She'd acknowledged that Amara was a good mother. It was progress. Hey kids, Amara said. Time for dinner. Wash your hands. The children scattered, while Ji-hoon and Min-Jae did. Sung stayed in Amara's arms, too young to do anything but observe the chaos. Alone for a moment, Min-Jae pulled Amara close, baby Sung between them. Thank you, he said quietly. For all of this. For seeing past the monster and finding the man. For giving me a family I never thought I deserved. You're not a monster, Amara said as she had 1,000 times. You're just a man who made hard choices in a hard world. And you're choosing differently now. That's what matters. I love you, he said in Korean. 더 사랑할게요. I'll love you more. I love you too, she replied in English. Always and forever. From the dining room, Ji-hoon's voice called out. Appa. Mama Amara. Min-Jae's trying to eat with her fingers again. Coming, they called together, laughing. They walked toward the noise and chaos and love, their family waiting. A family that had been forged in danger and violence but grew in peace and devotion. A family that proved love could bloom anywhere, even in the darkest places. Min-Jae had been Chicago's most ruthless crime lord. Now he was a husband, a father, a man trying to build something better. Amara had been a struggling maid hiding her talents. Now she was a wife, a mother, an educator helping Korean-American kids connect with their heritage through the community center she'd opened. And Ji-hoon, once silent and afraid, was now confident and bright, teaching his siblings, excelling at school, becoming exactly who he was meant to be. They'd all found each other in the most unlikely way. A midnight Korean lesson. A desperate father. A woman with hidden depths. And they'd built something beautiful from the broken pieces. That evening, after the children were asleep, after the house was quiet, Min-Jae and Amara stood on their terrace overlooking the city. The same spot where he'd proposed 3 years ago. Do you ever regret it? Min-Jae asked. Choosing this life? Amara looked at the ring on her finger, the sapphire that represented their beginning. Then at the house behind them full of sleeping children. Then at the man beside her who'd given her everything she never knew she wanted. Not for a single second, she said. You. Never. You're the best decision I ever made. They stood together in the Chicago night, 2 people from impossibly different worlds who'd found each other and refused to let go. And they lived. Not happily ever after because life was never that simple. But happily enough, bravely enough, together enough. And that was everything.